What up? What up? Welcome back. This is the Jarvis Podcast. Welcome back. Thanks for staying tuned. Today is going to be episode 5. Today on episode 5, we have 2 segments. So once again, we're going with a little bit shorter format today. But today we're going to talk about something that popped into our heads while we were watching one of our favorite sports movies. Kind of an interesting topic. Let us know what you think about it once you're done listening to that first segment. Our second segment is going to go into the Jalen Hurts contract and our thoughts about it. And then ultimately, we're kind of going to give a segment about the Eagles overall as a franchise. We did record this a little late in what's actually going on in the sports world by the time you hear this. So the Lamar contract has already happened. The draft's already happened. So take it with a grain of salt. But I think it's a good little topic, a good little episode to get out there. Also, let me know down in the comments. Hit me up on Facebook. Go to the Jarvis Podcast Facebook or wherever you consume this content, and let us know if you would like me to do a segment on your favorite team. I'll try and talk about any football-related stuff if it's your football team. Now, I can't promise anything if it's any other sports, but if you guys show enough support and leave like, comment, share, subscribe, follow, all that stuff, I will do my best to answer any request on what I think about your team. So, go ahead, sit back, relax, put it on the Do Not Disturb. This is episode 5 of the Jarvis Podcast. What up, what up? All right, we are back on the Jarvis Podcast, and we're going to pick up our first segment here. We are going to bring in Mitch. We're going to talk about 2 different things to start off this episode. We're going to talk about something that we kind of just thought of randomly while we were watching one of our favorite sports movies, Moneyball, the other night. We're going to talk about if an organization found you, right, as an individual, like a diamond in the rough, right, where Moneyball was looking for people that, would they say 25 people that they could put on their roster that they could afford with the Oakland A's payroll when they had to get rid of Giambi, Damon.
Yeah, it was Giambi, Damon, and Isringhausen, a pretty good pitcher.
Okay, so they had to replace those guys after they got kicked out of the playoffs by the Yankees, and they still wanted to be relevant, but the owner did not want to or could not afford to give them any more money. And Billy Beane, we kind of hinted at it while we were talking, or he hinted at like the overall scheme of trying to find players that were efficient per what they were getting paid for, or like player efficiency over what they were being paid for. So they were talking about, and the subject that we're going to talk about is if you were one of those players, right, that when nobody else believed in you, maybe you were a little too old, or somebody thought you weren't good enough because you had an awkward stance or a weird release or something like that, because the way it was portrayed in that movie was a bunch of old guys that were set in their ways when it came to scouting and evaluating players. They were not ready to look into the future and use analytics and stuff like that. So if you were a player that was found by only one organization and everybody else thought that you weren't going to make it, and this organization was like, yo, we're going to believe in you. Maybe you're coming off an injury, or like I said, maybe you just had like some weird quirky things, and they were the only organization to believe in you. Would you stay with that organization because they believed in you, right? I know kind of like Damian Lillard. I mean, he's getting paid, don't get me wrong, but Damian Lillard is staying with the Trailblazers because he loves the city. He's committed to that organization. So what we're getting at here is, would you stay with the organization that believed in you after, let's say, a year or so, or however long that contract initially was, or would you go seek out a big deal, right? After you performed way above expectations, maybe you had a good playoff run, won a championship, something like that. You're on a 1-year deal, something, or you could at least, negotiate with other teams. What would you do? So, Mitch, tell me what your take on this topic. Would you stay loyal to the organization that believed in you, or would you run to a fat paycheck?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting one because I think a really good example of that player that sort of encompasses everything we're talking about in the movie is Chad Bradford. He's that pitcher with the sort of the sidewinder that starts down in the bottom and he comes up with it and he pitches sidearm. If anyone remembers Mitch Williams back in the day, he was a Phillies pitcher, the Wild Thing they called him. Same deal going on. So I was 4 years old at the time of the events in Moneyball in 2002, I believe, is when it took place. So I just don't know. I wasn't watching baseball. I was too young. I couldn't tell you what happened to Chad Bradford after that. And I'm sort of intentionally not, looking into what happened to Chad Bradford after that. But he's a very good example because he had a pretty solid season for the A's. They were the only ones that believed in him that season in 2002. And obviously the A's ended up setting that regular season win streak record in 2002. So I would like, anyone would like to take the high road and say that they would place legacy over making money. I think this question depends on a few factors, and the primary factor being what was your role in the success of that team that year. So, like, obviously Justin's saying in this scenario, you performed way above the expectations. Yeah, okay. So that makes sense. If you just kicked ass all season and they got their money's worth and then some more out of you. I honestly would probably try to renegotiate that shit, man, because, like, you got to know your worth in these leagues, and if, like, the only one that's going to look out for you is yourself, and yeah, your agent, but your agent's not going to, he can't read your mind. He doesn't know whether you want to make that happen. Like, you're ultimately the only one that can make that happen. And if you know your worth and you were pivotal in the success of the team that season, yeah, that's nice that they believed in you, but they also got you for 10 cents, right? Yeah, so, like, in a way, it's like, bleep them, like, for real.
So let me pose this question to you, Mitch. You would try to renegotiate, which obviously, let's say that this is a short-term deal. It was probably low money, right?
I think they had Bradford for about $300,000 in that 2002 season.
Okay, so renegotiate. Now, would you take a hometown discount to stay with the team that believed in you? Or would you, because let's say free agent, right? Like unrestricted free agents in the NFL can also listen to offers and also take offers from their team, but other offers from other teams. Right. And would you chase the money, right? Let's say, we'll just throw numbers out here real quick, right? So like $100 million, whatever sport, we can get into the weeds and stuff here, but like $100 million, right? Or maybe say $150 million from another team. Right. So what would you do at that point?
So I think there is a sort of happy medium that we can meet here. I think, especially if that team was, the one that believed in you. Let's just say we're Chad Bradford and we're talking about the Oakland A's. The Yanks are offering me $25 million to go play for them, but the A's are offering me $20 million. Which at the time would not have been realistic. The A's payroll was, I think, $38 million that season. But whatever. There is a benefit of the fact that they were the only team that believed in you, and that can probably still continue to happen. So, like, taking that hometown discount, there is some worth to that because, A, if the team is still riding on a successful high, you want to remain part of that and potentially go get yourself a World Series or championship, whatever sport we're talking here. So yeah, I think in that case, if there's a way to chase both legacy and still make some cash. And I think the initial action of saying that you want to renegotiate and being assertive and saying that you deserve more money because you do, I think attracts other teams' attentions, but it's also going to light a fire under the Oakland A's ass to be like, oh, okay, well, this guy, we don't want the Yankees to go get him. And hey, Chad Bradford, sorry, like we want you, but we can't pay you what the Yankees are paying you, but we'll pay you a good amount. And in that case, I just want myself some money, and I'm still hanging around with the dudes who I saw a lot of success with in the previous season. I think that's sort of a happy medium. So I like that question about the hometown discount. I think, and again, this is coming from someone who's not a professional baseball player. I am not in a position to make those millions of dollars. It's easy for me to be like, oh yeah, like legacy, I'll take $5 million less. But when you're sitting there, $25 million versus $20 million, it might be a different story. But you see dudes do it. Yeah. You see plenty of dudes take pay cuts to play for the team they love. So I think I would, in an ideal world, take that hometown discount while still getting myself some more cash than I was earning before.
So once again, I'll take a page out of Mitch's book here. I've never sat at the table in those negotiations, and if an owner dropped the money down on the desk with the contract, I could be totally saying something different than what I'm about to say. But I am a huge believer and supporter of kind of like the Tom Brady effect here, right? Like nobody knew who Tom Brady was. New England went out there and scouted their ass off and found out, that they had found the diamond in the rough of all diamonds in the rough. And literally that dude went on to arguably be the greatest quarterback in NFL history. And he never got the big payday, right? It's almost like the Jeter, right? Like Jeter, like nobody talked about Jeter's contract and how much he made and stuff, but he was on a lot of great Yankee teams. Same thing with Tom Brady. And I think that if I was that great, I would want to make money, obviously, because that's why you're in the sport, not only because you love it, but you also want to be able to support and provide not only for your family, but maybe generations to come, right? But I think that with greatness comes legacy, right? Like if you're that good, I would also want to bet on myself, because I'm a firm believer that if you do what you can on the field, right, or the baseball diamond or something like that, or on the court, the money-making opportunities will come outside of whatever sport that you're in, right? Yeah. So like, Tom Brady has his own brand, LeBron has his own brand, like Michael Jordan has his own brand, stuff like that. So, marketing and stuff like that, hey, Steph Curry with Subway, right? I feel like you can make up what you can't get or what they're offering from your home team with that marketing and other stuff outside of the sport that you're playing. So ultimately, I would say if a team believed in me when nobody else did, I would definitely be like, yo, I want to stay here. Can we please get a deal done? Yeah. Like maybe I would definitely give them a hometown discount. You know what I mean? Like, hey, I want to stay here. I don't want to uproot my family, right? Stuff like that. So I would try and figure out a way to make it work, because ultimately I'm a guy that I think that legacy lives on forever, right? Like how do we even think of anybody in how many years do we think we'll find anybody that's close to Tom Brady? Right? Yeah, and he blows everybody else out of the water before he ever was in the league, right? Like, nobody comes close to that dude. So, like, I feel like his legacy is going to live on forever. And if I could take his role and be like, yo, I don't need the big contract, save the money, put people around me, make me successful, let me get some rings, let me get some championships, I'll get my money on the side, right? I'll make a brand, I'll sell clothes, I'll market, my ass off or whatever. Yeah. That's what I would personally do. So, Go ahead.
Well, so that's a great example, and like
2 minutes.
You see dudes do it. Like you actually do see dudes do it. It's a very, very good example of late is James Harden on the Philadelphia 76ers. For those of you who follow basketball, in the past offseason, he agreed to take a pay cut. So Daryl Morey had a little more money to work with, to look around for dudes to surround him with, because Harden knows that he's reaching the tail end of his career. Harden's a guy without a ring. He's probably a first ballot Hall of Famer at this point with the records he's set in the MVP and whatnot, but he's a dude. He's chasing legacy at this point, and he's willing to take pay cuts. So it does happen. We can sit here and say that dudes take less money in order to chase legacy. It's totally realistic.
All right, so tell me what you guys think in the comments or wherever you guys are listening to this. You can reach me on my Facebook or on the Jarvis Podcast Facebook page. Tell us what you guys think. What would you guys do? Would you chase legacy and stay with the team and just try and be great because they believed in you when nobody else did? Or would you go chase the bag, right? Would you, try and take the big payday and see what that team does? Let us know. This is the Jarvis Podcast.
Ooh, nice.
Spicy. All right, and we are back. We are back with segment 2 of this episode, and we kind of teased that this was going to happen in episode 2 when Mitch was walking out the door. We gave a Go Birds.
Go Birds.
Right? We gave a Go Birds. So the center of this topic is going to be, and what brought this up ultimately, is Jalen Hurts secured the bag since the last episode, and he got $255 million over 5 years, right? So I'm gonna bring Mitch in. Mitch is gonna give his take on the whole contract. We're basically just gonna go into an in-depth overall about the Eagles. This is what it's gonna turn into here. We're gonna just talk about the team. We're gonna talk about Jalen. Probably compare him to a couple different quarterbacks, the team overall, and probably where they stand going forward. Maybe even throw some draft picks in there before the draft actually happens here. We're recording on April 23rd, so the draft is next weekend, I believe. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Mitch. I can't wait to hear what you have to say about this. I definitely have some spicy takes on it, and I know Hurts is our dude. We rode the Birds all year last year.
You're damn right.
Had some great Sunday afternoons just watching the Birds. And, I mean, we should have won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, no, you're damn right.
You know, Mahomes has, $500 million, so he probably paid the refs off for that penalty. But,
yeah, you know that holding call was egregious.
It was egregious.
We'll get to it. Yeah.
Anyways, all right, so Mitch, go ahead. Tell me what you think about the contract, how you feel about the contract moving forward. Is the Eagles organization as in a whole, all that? Yeah.
So, what I'm mainly prepared to speak about is the contract itself. Do I like it? Do I not? Spoiler: I do. B, how that contract affects the Birds' salary cap moving forward. The players that they still have under contract through 2025. And then the areas that they are lacking in and ways they can go about filling those spots without having to spend a bajillion dollars. So, one, it's a 5-year, $255 million contract, which makes him the highest annually paid player in NFL history.
By $1 million.
By $1 million.
Yep.
So, what we saw from Hurts, first off, the dude's 24. Insane. What we saw last season was special.
MVP season.
It was absolutely an MVP. Yeah, Philly has a history of getting robbed of MVPs. We can talk about Joel Embiid another time. But no, I mean it was insane. And you do see players that have explosive seasons and get signed to contracts that are way above their pay grade that they don't deserve, and then they don't live up to it. That totally happens. And I'm sure that's a fear that some people have with Hurts. Totally understandable. It's a fat contract. But what I liked about what we saw is how versatile the dude is.
Yes.
Because this wasn't this wasn't Joe Flacco winning the Super Bowl
Nope.
and then getting money that he didn't deserve. This is a dude who can hit you in 9 different ways.
Trending upwards.
Yeah, he's trending upwards. He can hit you in 9 different ways, and he still has pretty much all the same weapons he had last season, aside from Miles Sanders.
So I'm gonna pause you real quick. I did see something. I don't know the actual numbers, but I heard something the other day about if you look at his, I believe it was quarterback percentage, the QBR.
Mm-hmm. You mean QB rating?
The QB rating or the other one, the it's like QBR.
Yeah. I know.
Quarterback efficiency or something.
Yeah.
Anyways, one of those numbers I heard the other day, if you look at the last 3 years, it was like a 10% increase the first year from year 1 to year 2, and then year 2 to year 3, it was
New
like
and existing
it was like
customers can
80
choose the phone
something.
they want, like the incredible iPhone 14 on us.
Not to brag, but I'm on Verizon now. And I got to choose the phone I wanted for free.
Not that you're bragging.
Choose the phone you want on us.
Sounds
Verizon.
like...
That wasn't me.
Yeah, no.
I have no idea what that was.
Yes! Middle stump out of the ground.
It's true. Oh,
And the Bulldog enters the bench.
weird, man.
Struck for 2 boundaries.
I mean, that's fine.
Struck for a few sixes earlier. He's knocked the center pole off
Is that
the
your
ground.
phone?
No, my phone's off.
That was like soccer.
I'm not even playing anything, though. That's so weird.
And it's not coming out from here now, though.
No.
Interesting.
Whatever. Okay, so you were... So do you want to start that over to say
Yeah, we'll clip that.
about the QBR?
Yeah, so QBR was what we were talking about there, and it was a stat that I saw, and like I said, I don't remember the numbers per se, but he was somewhere I think in like the 70s in his first year, and then second year it went into the low to mid 80s, right? So you're talking probably about a 10 percentage increase in passer efficiency, passer rating, something like that. But definitely like throwing the ball, right? And if you watch Jalen Hurts and the way that he's played, he's gotten better as a passer.
He's deliberately worked on it and
Yes.
gotten like visibly better,
Just like Lamar did.
Yeah,
Right?
Yeah.
But and then year 2 to year 3, I believe it was in that, like I said, 80 range in year 2, he went all the way up over 100.
Wow.
Over 100. So I definitely think that plays into what you were talking about.
Yeah, right. Like I think the contract makes sense. I don't think this was a one and done Cinderella season. Like the dude has game, and again, pretty much the same weapons as last season, aside from his running back. So yeah, I like the contract. And to go into where we see this conversation going, where does this contract fit into the organization? How does it affect the organization moving forward? That's another reason I like it. So I have a list here of 22 players that Howie Roseman, who is the wizard behind this
the
Eagles
way that
roster.
he can just finagle the whole league. He's like the Chiefs GM.
Yeah.
Somehow he just figures out finds these guys that are diamonds in the rough.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So I'm going to give you the big names of players that are still locked up through 2025. Obviously, Jalen Hurts being one of them. All right, so we've got. By the way, the Phillies just won.
Go Phils!
So we've got AJ Brown, Dallas Goedert, Lane Johnson, Darius Slay.
We don't say Dallas around here.
Philly Goddard. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Thank you, Justin.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
It's okay.
no, that's my fault.
You're just reading. It's fine.
So yeah, AJ Brown, Philly Goddard, Lane Johnson, Darius Slay, Jordan Mailata, Jason Kelsey, James Bradbury, Brandon Graham, Hassan Reddick, Avonte Maddox, Josh Sweat, Jordan Davis, Fletcher Cox, Jake Elliott are the biggest names. And then at the bottom here, of course, we've got Jalen Hurts and Devontae Smith.
Yep.
Dev Smith, skinny Batman, my dude.
Skinny Batman.
So it's not like this contract is making it a win now thing necessarily, because they've got these dudes locked up for a couple more seasons. And most of the vital positions are filled in that list I just gave you. Cornerback is pretty set.
I was going to say that.
Yeah.
You list those names off like that, and each and every one of those are in a key spot on that team.
Yep. Namely offensive line.
Yep.
Cornerback.
Yep.
Wide receiver.
Safety net at tight end.
Yep. Safety net at tight end, dude who can block and catch the ball and run nice routes. And obviously quarterback. So where they are lacking, they've lost some of their offensive line. They've still got Kelsey, Lane Johnson, Mailata tied up. But they do have some gaps to fill, and then of course running back with the departure of Miles Sanders this past offseason, which is a shame. I really like Miles.
Booby.
Booby
Miles.
Yeah, Booby Miles. He had a breakout season for sure,
did.
and we were all very happy to see that. I was rooting for the dude, and that was awesome. I hope I wish him nothing but success moving forward.
Yes.
But they do have an issue at running back. They still have, they always sort of have a solid core. Like I can remember even back to Brian Westbrook and then Shady McCoy after him. They always had like a
Darren
good,
Sproles.
Yeah, exactly. Darren Sproles, and then this past season with Kenny Gainwell and Boston Scott, like they've always had a good 1, 2, even 3 punch with
good
running
stable.
back. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they certainly have that running back one role to fill, and this isn't rocket science. I'm not suggesting anything innovative or revolutionary here. Drafting Bijan Robinson, I think, is the way to go.
Best
I think
pick.
we all want him. And then there is that lineman.
Peter.
Yeah.
I don't know how to say his last name.
No, it's impossible.
Yeah. Northwestern tackle.
Yeah.
Peter
Northwestern tackle.
starts with an S.
Mm-hmm.
Saskowski Switch or something.
Yeah, something Slavic. But he's a beast, and he's the kind of dude that they say can play any position on the line, right?
Yep.
So I think the Eagles are probably going to need him at left guard.
Yep.
So that is another route to take, but it sounds so cliche, but I want a running back, man.
All right. So you got it out before I could put you on the spot,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm still gonna say it because you might change your answer.
Mm-hmm.
You're at pick 10.
Mm-hmm.
You just signed Jalen Hurts. You know Lane Johnson's old, right? I was surprised that he got an extension, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You know Kelsey's about to leave.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of setting this up to maybe change your answer here.
Yeah.
But and you know Booby Miles left for Carolina.
Yeah.
You're at pick 10. What are you doing?
Yeah.
You're on the clock.
It's tough, man. Okay. So I will bring up. I'm just gonna float the Derrick Henry rumor out there.
No. I like that.
So there was a rumor. A former NFL player tweeted out that Derrick Henry was likely to be traded to the Eagles for either just that number 10 pick or their other first round pick as well. That ended up not happening as of this present moment. It still has not happened. I don't think it will because the Titans have already been fleeced once by the Eagles with the whole AJ Brown thing, which is awesome.
Yep.
I don't see it happening, but in an ideal fantasy land, I take our Peter lineman with pick 10, and I try to trade for a running back 1. I don't see it happening. So realistically, I'm still sticking with the Bijan Robinson pick.
Okay, so you're taking Bijan.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So if I was the Eagles, okay, I think that line, right? And if granted, okay, the Eagles are probably not going to have a top 10 pick next year, but offensive line, if you do your job scouting wise, offensive line, you can find that anywhere in the draft.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
But when you see a individual talent, which I think Bijan Robinson is, I mean, hands down, probably the best running back clearly in this draft.
Yes.
There's a gap.
Yep.
It's huge
Yep.
to the next guy. I don't even know who the next guy is off the top of my head. Right? But I know Bijan Robinson. Okay, and yes, I live in Texas, so obviously like he's relevant to me, but he's also the big name at running back.
Yeah.
Right? So I think that, and granted, I think I might have looked this up. What's the last running back that was taken in the top 10? I know Zeke was.
You did look. Yeah. Zeke.
Todd Gurley was, but Gurley was before him.
Those were 2 of them.
Yeah. So you look at teams and how they value the running back position. And I know when I talked about my top 5 running backs, right, we had my number 2 dude, which was Austin Eckler, who was in limbo at, I believe he was, 28, 29, something like that, 27. Yep. He doesn't even know what his contract is moving forward, right? So that shows you that the league doesn't really value running backs like they used to when they were drafted top 10.
Yeah, the only running back taken.
Saquon.
Yeah, the only running back taken in the top 10 in the last 5 drafts was Saquon Barkley in 2018.
And Saquon Barkley was a generational talent in college. He also has translated to the NFL, but has dealt with injuries.
Yeah.
But I think that when it comes to Bijan, he is the only person that warrants a first round pick, let alone top 15. I wouldn't let him pass 15. And if he did go past 15, if I was somebody like the Bills that need a running back, right? Well, minus Eagles, right?
Yeah.
But like Bills who just can't seem to get the running back right, and they need to take some heat off of Josh Allen. But I would take him if he slips, right? But that's why I'm going to say I would go with Bijan at 10 because I don't think that you would find the caliber at running back and also have that position in the draft next year. Yeah. Whereas you could take maybe that second pick that you have in the first round and draft a no lineman or anywhere else in that draft, or wait till next year because you still have Kelsey, which will probably retire after this season. Yeah. And you have Lane Johnson, who is under contract, so he's going to be around till as long as he wants to be. He'll probably retire an Eagle. Yep. So that line is still secure. The immediate hole that you have in Philadelphia is the running back. And what do the Birds love to do? Run the ball. And I know Jalen Hurts, which is the topic here that we're talking about. That's what we started with. Yeah. Jalen Hurts had 760 rushing yards himself. Yep. Right, so he's a big part of the running game. Yep. But I think also when we were talking about these mobile quarterbacks over the last few episodes here, you have to transition towards being more of a passer with the escapability of like Mahomes, right? Mm-hmm. So I think that putting a solid thoroughbred in the backfield, like a Derrick Henry, because you know what's funny? Who does Bijan look like?
Derrick Henry.
He's a big, stout running back, right? Yeah. So I think you plug him in at 10, go figure out the rest of the draft because they're kind of like, the Chiefs, the 49ers, all them, the Cincinnati, their picks are luxury because they're full up everywhere. So you're just trying to find people to backfill at this point. Yeah. So, anyways.
No, I'm with you. And you make a really good point about having a mobile quarterback, which the NFL is like, over the past probably 5-10 years has slowly moved towards that in the quarterback realm. Generally, you see more success nowadays with mobile quarterbacks. I mean, Josh Allen is 100% a mobile quarterback, right? Like anyone who says he isn't doesn't watch football.
After we lost Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, like those statues at quarterback, like the NFL has definitely, like you said, taken a trend towards mobility.
And Brady's probably
well, Brady
the last of that, right? Yeah. And I guess Aaron Rodgers, whatever happens with him. But it's a very good point, and I really like your point about having to surround those mobile quarterbacks with a good running back core. Look at Lamar Jackson's running back core he's had in Baltimore.
Crap.
Exactly. And they need to. They got to figure something out.
Well, there's something wrong with that field out there. Because every time they step on the practice field, they just tear it.
Yeah, someone tears something. Yeah. I think the running back is a no-brainer for the Eagles. And also to give you another reason I think Howie is going to go with running back here is because of his draft history. So the dude is a wizard when it comes to roster management and signing. He has slipped up in drafts in the past. And the big two really, were J.J. Arcega-Whiteside over
Rager.
DK Metcalf, and then Rager over Justin Jefferson.
Two
receivers. So he has he's on the hot seat with fans every draft. Like when I'm sitting there with my friends watching or my family.
But what's crazy though is you have two legit receivers. Mm-hmm.
Oh no, he
even dropping the ball on that.
He 100% made up for it.
Yeah.
So with the Dev Smith pick, which was awesome, and then the all-time fleece job of acquiring A.J. Brown from the Titans. No, he certainly made up for it. But point being, if Bijan's there and the fans are clamoring for it, I don't see him not doing it because he has, again, like every draft, we are like, Howie, don't mess this up, man, because we've seen it before. We have a bad taste in our mouth with drafts on occasion.
That's the same way with the Packers. Every time the Packers draft, I'm just like, please get the first pick right.
Don't get fancy.
Yeah.
Don't pick a fast, short dude out of TCU. I didn't know who Jalen Hurts was when they drafted him.
I mean, I knew him because I followed the draft build-up, but like...
Yeah, good for you. I didn't.
Yeah. I mean, it still didn't work out.
I literally... This was during COVID. That draft. And I remember I was... we were doing like a group Zoom. Myself and my brother and his friends who were all like 10 years older than me, And all of us were like looked at each other through our little stupid cameras, and we were like, "What?" And the Vikings management was laughing. I remember they were fucking laughing at us. So yeah, I think he probably sees it as a no-brainer. But if he goes lineman, like, I'm not going to complain.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then one more little thing I have, and I think that should be about it for me, is they are weak at linebacker too.
Yes.
That was a huge issue that came. It was visible all season, them getting chopped up in the middle on little slant routes. But it especially reared its ugly head in the Super Bowl when Travis Kelce just went to absolute work in the first half, and they were torn up the entire game. So I would imagine with that second first round pick, I wouldn't be surprised if they go linebacker.
I just don't know if there is a linebacker worthy of a first-round pick in this draft. Now, granted, it will probably be wrong with saying that. There'll be some dude that probably 6 years from now, once he gets drafted, he'll be a 5-time Pro Bowler,
right.
Like Bobby Wagner or something.
That's usually how these things go in these situations.
I mean, once again, going back to my point, it's a luxury pick for this team, no matter if they're picking at 10 or if they're picking at 31, right? It doesn't matter because they are pretty much full at any position. Now, the Eagles, like you said, do have 2 key spots that they need to plug a hole. And then they have a leak in the dam, is what I'll say, at lineman, because you know that levee's about to break.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So, I definitely totally agree. I mean, me and him almost share the same mind when we talk about Philly here. We're same wave frequency here.
Yeah.
But to bring it back, right? I'm going to give my take on this Jalen Hurts contract. So Jalen Hurts, I mean, it doesn't matter. And it's funny that so I'm thinking about this while I'm trying to say it. It doesn't matter. I think the actual skill of the quarterback. If you are serviceable, right? So if you're a decent starting quarterback, somewhere in the top 20, I would say, on anybody's list, maybe top 17, top 15, but I'll go as low as 20. If you're a good starting quarterback in the NFL that can win games and your contract comes due, statistically, historically, the team will pay you.
Yeah.
And every time a quarterback gets paid, they reset the market.
Yep.
And it doesn't matter. So the guy that I'm going to use here for a perfect example, he happens to be in the division, is Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
Who also got a contract this year. Right? Yeah. The Giants have figured out how to fumble the bag, right? And secure Daniel Jones, who
it's great.
I do not believe in, and the Birds are just going to continue to dominate this division for as long as Jalen Hurts is there, and the other teams keep doing what they're doing, right? But listen to this, and I don't know if you saw this, but I'm going to lay this on you. I didn't tell you about this. This is what I was thinking about the other night when we brought this topic up. So salary cap hits over the next 4 years. Daniel Jones, $21 million. Okay?
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts this year, 6.1.
Wow. That's ridiculous.
I would take anybody in their right mind would take Jalen Hurts for 6.1 over Daniel Jones at 21.
I'd take Jalen Hurts at 21 over
I would
Daniel
take
Jones at
I would take almost 3 Jalen Hurts at that point. Right? Okay, year 2 on both these contracts.
Yeah.
Hold on. So year 2 in both these contracts, Daniel Jones, $45 million.
Yep.
Jalen Hurts, 13.5.
Yep.
So you still this contract, and we're going back to your GM here, the Wizard, is figuring this out to structure this contract perfectly so that they can continue to put talent around him, right? So that he can be successful. Year 3 in this contract for both of these. Jalen Hurts is 21.7 and Daniel Jones is 39.5. Year 3.
That's amazing.
Year
man.
3. And you're talking about an MVP, should have won MVP candidate, to a guy that backed his way into the playoffs, kind of?
Stinks.
Stinks. If he doesn't have Saquon Barkley, this dude...
If he has Saquon, he stinks.
I think he's in the same tier, and we talked about him. I know I was high on him. He's the same tier as Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
Just, meh. He goes to a decent supporting cast. He's all right. You know what I mean? But,
Yeah.
So, year 4... Right? This is going to be the biggest part of the contract here.
Mm-hmm.
Year 4, Jalen Hurts is 31.7. Daniel Jones, you ready for this?
Yeah.
56.5 million. So at no point
awesome.
besides the final year is Jalen Hurts more than Daniel Jones. The final year in his contract.
Howie Roseman, you're a wizard, Howie.
You're a wizard, Howie.
It's really nice to be blessed with that. That's a great stat you just brought up there. It's really nice to be blessed with a GM who knows what he's doing when it comes to structuring these things and has a real good feel for the bigger picture. It's even better when you're in a division with ass clown teams like the Cowboys and Giants who just constantly fall on their own asses.
Commanders don't even have they're in between ownership, but
I didn't even bring them up because I don't even think about them, man. And as long as Jerry Jones,
quick hot take, Lamar goes to Commanders. Are they a contender in that division?
Nope.
Okay, that was quick.
No, that's a interesting topic for another time. I think. No, that's a good question. As long as Jerry Jones and Dak Prescott, Dakota Rain Prescott, Dakota Prescott, as long as they are still alive, I'm happy because the Cowboys stink.
Yeah. We them boys. I almost threw up saying that.
I did. You got the trash.
All right, so I'm going to say one more thing about this contract, right? And I'm looking at some financial stats here when it comes to quarterbacks. I think that not only does he deserve the money that he's getting paid, right? Because, I mean, you're the next quarterback up for a contract negotiation. So, obviously, like I said, he reset the market once again by just under $1 million, right? Because you got Aaron at 50.3 and Jalen Hurts is 51. And we're still waiting on the whole Lamar thing, right? Who knows what's going on there. But I'm looking at highest average annual value and most guaranteed, top threes here for both. The highest AAV is obviously Jalen Hurts at 51. The next one is Aaron Rodgers at 50. Russell Wilson, 49. Yeah.
God, that sucks.
Okay. Then most guarantee.
So happy the Eagles didn't go the Russell Wilson route.
The most guaranteed is Deshaun Watson at 230.
Wow.
Kyler Murray at 189.5, and then you have Jalen Hurts at 179.3. I would take Jalen Hurts right now.
Yeah.
And A-Rod's my dude.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Out of anybody on those what I just said, all 6 of those people, I would take Jalen Hurts over every single one.
Yep.
And he is getting you essentially the best value. I know he has the highest annual value. Right? But essentially, I think he kind of pulled a Patrick Mahomes, right? Huge numbers at contract, right? When we saw the Mahomes contract, we were like, oh my God, $500 million? Yeah. But it was like over what, like 10 years?
Right.
So essentially, when you get into the weeds of this contract, you're like,
the pound for pound value.
Yeah. So you see how they actually structured this contract, you go, he got paid, but the way that they structured it, so I say I mean the Eagles organization can still keep talent around the team. And I think that is the most important to not only secure the bag at that position because you were successful and kind of like what we were talking about in the first segment here, but to continue to be successful so that you have that legacy, right? So any final thoughts, Mitch, on what we were talking about here? Jalen Hurts. We'll wrap up this segment. You got 2 minutes.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited. I think we're going to see probably, I would say over the next 2 seasons, some more exponential growth from Jalen, which is insane because that last season was on its own an MVP caliber season. I'm excited, man. If they can not royally mess this draft up, which I don't see happening, I think they're the division favorite. and hopefully they get back to the Super Bowl and don't get hopefully their opponent doesn't get bailed out on a shitty holding call. But no, man, I'm really excited. I'm very happy with Howie. He is a gift from the divine gods.
And he's young.
Yeah, he's young. He's bought into the whole system. Hopefully they go Bijan, but if not, hopefully they get a lineman and we go from there. I'm very excited for it.
So I am also very excited. Like I said, I started this off when we started talking about Jalen. I think that he got robbed with the MVP. I think he should have gotten it. He missed a few games, and he ended up losing at the end of the season, kind of like Carson Wentz in his MVP caliber season that he was shooting for before he destroyed his knee. Yeah. So I definitely think that the team did a great job at not only making a good decision in signing this quarterback to a long-term extension, but also structuring it in a way to keep talent around him and to continue to be successful. So as long as they keep making good decisions, I think that this team is definitely going to be a Super Bowl favorite, top 4 Super Bowl favorite probably for the next 4 or 5 years, as long as he's there and they continue to play well. So that will end our take here on Jalen Hurts' contract situation. Essentially a Eagles segment. Go Birds.
Yep, go Birds.
Right? So tell us what you guys think. Tell us if you think we're wrong with our takes here on Jalen Hurts' contract. Maybe you're not an Eagles fan like our boy Jose. So he'll probably have some comments to put in down below about how the Cowboys are going to beat the Eagles somehow. But anyways, let us know what you think. Continue to support all the love. And this is the Jarvis Podcast. Boom.